I'm just a little person, one person in a sea of many
Ich will
little.
mit dir über deine Homosexualität sprechen.
I'm not a homosexual.
Gesagt, du wurdest erst abstrakt.
Somewhere, maybe someday.
I don't know why I make it so complicated.
That's what you do.
Far away.
I help you through any way I can.
Somewhere, maybe
There are millions of people in the world,
maybe somewhere far.
and none of those people is an extra.
I'll meet a
They're all leads of their own stories.
person, and we'll go out and play.
Caden,
What?
when are we going to get an audience in here? It's been 17 years.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, young lady.
So I was an epic fan of Charlie Kaufman. I still am a fan of Charlie Kaufman, but I wouldn't say I'm an epic fan of Charlie Kaufman. He did a run of movies working with Spike Jonze and Michel Gondry, right? Being John Malkovich, Human Nature, Adaptation, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And he also did the screenplay for Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Yeah.
And so with that particular track record, I'm just fascinated. What's this guy going to do? What's he going to bring next? And now he's directing. This is his directorial debut. Synecdoche or Synecdoche, New York, depending on who says the title. And as I was a huge fan of Kaufman going in, I always felt like they were hard to get your head around, but they were funny, they were imaginative, and they felt solvable. They felt like, as you're thinking about it, like all the pieces of Being John Malkovich are disparate, but there is a unit there is a theme, there is a trajectory that a character follows. There is something for the audience to take from the movie. Synecdoche, New York was the first time where that absolutely did not happen for me. The idea is like he wants to put dream logic into a world that has real life stakes. So he still has his real interesting, bizarre Charlie Kaufmanisms throughout the film. And the main character, Caden, is given this, like, I guess, limitless funding to do an art project of whatever he wants. And he finds a huge warehouse in New York in which he makes another New York. And then within that warehouse, he builds another warehouse where within that warehouse is contained yet another New York. And he wants to make this important art piece. And it studies his entire life with focus on the women in his life, particularly his romantic relationships and his daughter, most specifically. But men don't seem to win place or show a lot for him as far as being important in his life, with the exception of the Tom Noonan character, which is one of the threads of the movie that I actually genuinely liked. But the thing that I found and continue to find frustrating about Synecdoche, New York is that, or Synecdoche, however the hell you want to say it, is its obtuseness. Its obtuseness goes right to the title. I don't know what this means. And I don't think Philip Seymour Hoffman knows what this means. And I don't think Charlie fucking Kaufman knows what this means. And I've seen a lot of video essays, because I admit I did some research trying to get me some help to like cracking the code in this movie, because it could really be like there's some key to it that I was missing, that once I see that angle, oh, why, like the veil is suddenly lifted, the smoke clears. And I'm not necessarily looking for clarity in a Charlie Kaufman movie, but like I'm usually energized and excited by it, and Synecdoche frustrated me. And I keep going back to it. It's one of these movies, like I've said about Natural Born Killers, where I keep going back to it, trying to crack it, and saying, this time I'm going to get it. Because there are concepts that I really love. Like the idea that this woman's buying a house, and the real estate agent is giving her all the pluses and minuses, and she's like, I am a little bit concerned about dying in the fire. Because the house is on fire. It's smoldering as she's buying it. And we see her grow old in this house, and the fire progresses. It's like, and I think intellectually, like, the idea of, like, committing to something that you know is a bad idea on some level, like, there is some philosophical meat to that, and it's absurd, and but I don't know how the movie wants us to take it. Are we supposed to question her for this decision? What does it mean? We get Catherine Keener back again, so we have sort of a Philip Seymour Hoffman and Catherine Keener double feature here. And I do like her energy in the movie, as I seem to always like the energy.
Well, she disappears from the movie pretty fast.
She's, I think, the thing that breaks his heart,
Yeah.
that wounds him, that makes him want to express this. But what does he want to express? And does he express it? The movie is interesting, but frustrating. And it sprawls, and it's idea to idea, scene to scene. And the more I watch it, the more distant I feel from it. It's kind of frustrating. Kaufman made another movie after this called Anomalisa.
Oh, yes.
And he did it with puppets. And I think that helped him in a lot of ways. The characters were still frustrating and selfish and whatever, but that it was putting it in like a physically different universe. Somehow he has pushed the weird so far that it's no longer fun. It's just obtuse. I thought I was going to get yelled at for that, but this is where I started the movie. I find it interesting, but I find it equally frustrating. That's where I started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would... Maybe, I don't know if this is an odd comparison or not. This feels like a movie I'm supposed to like, much like Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America.
Right.
People regularly tell me, what a great movie, one of the great movies of all time.
People who like this movie like it a fucking lot.
They do. You know, I've talked to some people as among their favorite or if not their absolute favorite movie. And I'm always willing to go back and give it another try. The first time I saw it, I guess I don't worship at the altar of Charlie Kaufman as much as some people. I see the chinks in the armor with his screenplays, but they're always creative, they're always inventive. But I think the key was, and because he's earned so much clout, he basically had a blank check to make this movie, and he could have anybody he wants, which not a lot of people at their directorial debut get.
Yeah.
But I think when he gives his screenplay to another person to direct, it's more focused. It's going to be ultimately a better film. But the first time I watched, it felt like it went on and on and on. Like, how much time does Diane Wiest narrate?
I love Diane Wiest.
I love her too.
I love Diane Wiest.
And they gave her a little bit more to do, because initially I was like, okay, she's cast as this New York actor to play the cleaning lady or whatever outside of his ex-wife's apartment, and then she volunteers to be the next Tom Noonan late in the film, which again, it's kind of brings a smile to my face. It's ridiculous, but she's obviously older than Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and yet we're hearing her narrate the last, whatever section of his life, and like, where is she? Where is this going on? And it's tough for me because it seems like it's hyper real because of all the family stuff that they have at the very beginning of the film, but then there's these little touches, like all these commercials with Philip Seymour Hoffman's character in them, hints that we're going into the bizarro world, but most of it's the bizarro world, but they're still trying to ground some things in reality, and I never quite got on board. If we're going like full Malkovich or something like that, then I can get behind that a little bit more. But this one I
understand Malkovich, but I usually had a bizarre smile on my face.
Yeah.
I laughed during
even the parts I didn't like as much. I appreciated the vision and the creativity, but again, Spike Jonze I think is a better director than Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
I don't think many people would argue with me on that one. But yeah, I just ultimately had the frustration you expressed. It's a mild thumbs up review. So again, this is maybe my state in Maine where I'm sounding super negative on it.
Right.
Its best qualities are, to me, the cast. The performances, I mentioned Weist late in the film. I kind of that section I liked it, even though it felt like it went on and on with her bit there. But Samantha Morden is an actor I really like, and it's been interesting to see her career moving into like The Walking Dead and different things. Like that's not necessarily.
She's great in The Walking
Dead.
Like
we talked about Sweet and Low Down, where she was so sweet and whatever, and there's a little bit of that sweetness in this character here. But and you know, she plays an American very well. I liked her Emily Watson too, as this playing a different version of her, and when they go to that funeral, and then like the whole lead up to the sex scene and all that. Like there's some really great supporting performances in here.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah, I love Jennifer Jason Leigh. Mm-hmm. I didn't care for her in this at all. I liked her more in Amalisa.
Just as a presence, though,
but you can get her to just be in a few scenes in this thing. Yeah. This guy can have anybody he wants in this film, just because of who he is.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. If Charlie Kaufman asked me to be in his movie, I will be in his movie.
Well, me too, of course, you know. But at the same time, like, and again, it's a big cast, and the movie's already kind of bulky. But I just wanted. I thought some of the actors got full-fledged characters and interesting things to do. Other people just happen to be there. Like basically, Jennifer Jason Leigh is a German accent and is this artist, and she's kind of a two-dimensional, and she's the one who corrupts the daughter.
But for some reason, we focused on her briefly. The movie seems very focused on the female characters in Caden's life. Like I said at the beginning, like most of the supporting roles. Talking about things that I can latch onto and that I liked, Tom Noonan. We've talked about the actor before, this really tall, gaunt guy. He was in Manhunter and everything like this. He briefly became the voice of myself as a frustrated audience member to Caden when he was like, you need to see you, and I've been studying you, and I can show you what you are. So you can see it, and you can process it, and you can... And Caden doesn't seem to respond to that. Like, this is all his vision. He doesn't want to be told anything. He wants to tell people what the vision is. And it's so interesting how you can see everybody else's flaws so clearly, but not your own. And somehow the Tom Noonan character is trying to make him have this confrontation. And again, this is just me trying to solve the riddle, because this is what the movie is, a series of unanswered riddles, right?
The bit goes on too long, though.
But,
I got tired of his presence in the film, unfortunately. I mean, you know, I see the potential in that idea, but...
You need to see yourself in order to make this great art. And he refuses to see himself, so he can't make great art. No matter how much the budget, or 20 years or something like this, that he spends without an audience.
And like, I'm not sure who can afford to be...
Again,
they give up their lives for this guy, and maybe some comment on the artist and.
But again, like, I think that maybe just fundamentally the basic premise doesn't work. Like, he wanted to have dream logic in a real world stakes, and you can't have your cake and eat it too in that measure. Either what happens within the dome matters or it doesn't. Either we're supposed to, take this world at face value or we're not. Artifice on top of artifice on top of artifice, but it was always, from frame one, dreamlike and ridiculous. It feels like David Lynch.
Well, I was going to say, and I would have called, bullshit on you if you hadn't have been critical of this movie, because I have the same thought on this one, that, it's messing with its audience, but doesn't actually provide any answers, which... For some reason, I forgive Lynch, and I kind of am having a better time with most of his work. Inland Empire, not so much, but this is a 2-hour movie that felt like 4 hours to me watching it. And
if you don't have any answers, you don't have to tell us the answers even, but if you don't have any answers, I think that is creatively counterfeit. That is my problem with David Lynch, and that is my problem with this film. I think, I had so much respect and got so much out of even the weaker thing, even Human Nature, which isn't a great movie. I just, it was so original and different that I have a lot of respect for it, it took a swing. I knew what it was trying to do, what it was trying to say. And I think if I knew what this was trying to do and trying to say, I could at least say, interesting failure, right? But the fact that I don't even know what he was trying to say at the end of the day that feels closer to just a straight failure. But big swings, like it. I mean, like, I do have a certain degree of.
It's a risky film. Yeah.
You're in a position where you can make any film you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do a safe thing. You could make a movie that's going to win you more Oscars. Or you could do something absolutely, completely original and creative. And he did that. It just didn't work 100%.
And this had Oscar talk when it came out. He won prizes for Best New Film Director, and it didn't kind of turn into anything, but...
I think there's a bit of percentage of smoke, and again, I'm sorry, I'm always so shitty. I feel similar about David Lynch, and when people talk about David Lynch movies and how brilliant they are, right? I don't know. I think this was undisciplined.
Yeah. But he needed somebody to tell him...
No.
No. And Spike Jonze was a producer on it, so he obviously supported this project, but he wasn't directing this thing.
And who's going to deliver a Philip Kaufman script better than Philip Kaufman, right? It makes
Or
sense. Or Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie Kaufman, yeah.
Pardon me, Charlie Kaufman. But yeah, who's going to do better than he? So, like, I feel like he earned this opportunity, but he didn't slam dunk it. Unfortunately.
No, sadly.